Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good things. And happy Thursday, everybody. Now, normally here on Thursday, Erin Cummings is normally with us. However, she's got renovations being done to her home right now, getting ready for little baby Degnan on the way. So she can't be here today, unfortunately. So she sends her apologies, but don't worry, she'll be back again next week. But that's okay, guys, because you and I, with a bottle of champagne, gather around the fires of love, talking about our favorite things in the world. Oh, it's going to be close and intimate. Close and intimate. You might get uncomfortable, might make you uncomfortable. That's okay. This is a place where we can safely push boundaries. I got to stop this analogy. It's going too far. Anyway, guys, great to have you here today. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break this show up, as we always do, into two parts. The first half of the show, we're going to take some predetermined topics. And then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you got a live comment or question you'd like to see read on the show or in an upcoming companion video, simply use the tip link that's down in the description below, or you can enter it in manually at www.streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your comment or question read on the show or a companion video if, of course, it's appropriate for the show. And, of course, you'll be supporting the channel at the same time. And all of us involved here with the John Campea Show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Also, a little bit of house cleaning, of course, guys. If you can't get your John Campea Show fix every day because you can't be in front of a YouTube channel, no problem. We've got the audio-only version of the John Campea Show, known as the John Campea Show Podcast. Just go and find it on your podcasting app of choice. Subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it. It's like a condom. You'd rather not need it and have it than... Wait a second. I got that totally wrong. You'd rather not need it and have it than need it and not have it. That's what I was going for. Anyway, we're off to a rough start already today, guys. Anyway, guys, we got a bunch to talk about here today. We're going to talk about the Matrix 4 trailer. A trailer I got to see several weeks ago, but now we can finally talk about it today. That and a few things more. So let's not waste any time and get into our main topics here today, shall we? And how do we select our main topics? Well, it's easy. You guys determine our main topics. See, whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel should be a main topic here on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's get on to main topic number one. And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Don J. And Don J writes, "Hey, John." Well, hey there, Don J. "So, on the Star Trek Day live stream on Wednesday night, they showed the first Season 2 trailer of Star Trek Picard, which reveals Q and the apparent Season 2 storyline. It involves time travel. The show also announced that Picard was renewed for Season 3 already. What were your thoughts on the trailer and the show getting early renewal? I'm excited." Thanks a lot for saying it then, Don, and I'm excited too. And by the way, Carlos Quizada sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Carlos. Appreciate that, man. Listen. The topic of Star Trek is usually a very hotly contested one around here because Robert Meyer Burnett and I have very, very different opinions when it comes to Star Trek after Star Trek Enterprise. You know, because you had, Star Trek Next Generation, you had Deep Space Nine, you had Voyager, and you had Star Trek Enterprise, and then all things Star Trek after that. I don't think everything Star Trek after that has been a win. But I think for the most part, it's been pretty damn entertaining. Star Trek was something that needed to change because their fan base was literally dying off. Fans of Star Trek were literally dying and not being replaced with new fans. The Star Trek had stopped generating new fans for like 10 years. They'd gone like a decade. It was a dying franchise until J.J. Abrams came along and did his Star Trek, and all of a sudden there were new fans of Star Trek. And some fans of the older Star Trek loved it, and some fans of the older Star Trek were very hesitant to it because it wasn't the same Star Trek that they had grown up with. And that's fine. We've had these discussions all the time. Robert has one point of view on it. I have another. One of the specifics that Rob and I have disagreement on is Picard. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I thought Picard season 1 was fantastic. I really liked it. It had 1 or 2 weak episodes, yes, but overall, it was the absolute heart of what Star Trek always was, especially when you listen to a lot of the monologues that Jean-Luc has throughout the series. Like, it's very, very much to the heart of what Star Trek always was, with a lot of dabbings of what the new Star Trek is, and I personally thought Picard was really good. Top 5 TV show of the year? No, but I thought it was really, really good. Anyway, we knew a season 2 was coming. They've given us a few glimpses. We knew John Delancey was coming back as Q, but now they've actually released the full-blown trailer. And I think the full-blown trailer looks very, very much Star Trek. I mean, it has all those elements that I think are going to have a nice nostalgia hit for, more classic or next generation era Star Trek fans. It's got a bit of the action and a little bit more of the modern sensibilities in it as well. I love John Delaney as Q. Q and Picard are inseparable. Like, when you understand and you go back to Farpoint, like the very first episode of Star Trek, The Next Generation, and you had Picard and you had Q. And then when you go all the way to the end of the series with All Good Things, it was Picard and it was Q. The two are truly inseparable. And I thought it was only appropriate that they would bring John Delancey back to play Q once again. I thought it was only appropriate that they did that. And him playing Q, whenever he says Mon Capitaine, I just giggle and I laugh, and I think he's absolutely terrific in it. So, yeah, now, as far as them greenlighting season 3 already, I think that's fantastic. It shows a lot of confidence in the show. They know they were able to get some new viewers on board with the first season of Picard. I think that's grown a little bit. I hope season 2 is good. I mean, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully it's good, and that'll lead us into season 3. But it's nice to see that they've already made that commitment to season 3. I'll watch Patrick Stewart playing Jean-Luc Picard or Charles Xavier all day, every day. So sign me up for it. I think this sounds great. And I thought the trailer was very good. Was it a mind-blowingly, absolutely insane, this is the greatest trailer I've seen in 10 years? No, but it was solid. I thought it was quite solid, even though it's using time travel. And I'm not a fan of time travel tropes. But if anything's going to use it, it's going to be Star Trek. So there you go. So let's see how it goes. Question is for you guys. What do you think about, number 1, the Picard season 2 trailer, but number 2, the fact that they've already announced that they've greenlit a season 3? Whatever you guys think about it, jump on down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to a little bit of a sadder note. Let's move on to main topic number 2. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Movie Fanatic, who writes, "Hey, John and Rob." Rob's usually not here on Thursdays. "Well, tragic news just got released today that actor Michael Constantine died at the age of 94. My Big Fat Greek Wedding is still one of the best comedies ever. I agree, in my opinion, and it's terrible that so many people in the film industry are passing away. Thanks, and have a great day." Yeah, it was, I'm not going to lie to you, it was with great sadness that I found out that Michael Constantine had passed away. Now, of course, a lot of us became aware of him with My Big Fat Greek Wedding. A little bit of interesting trivia. I believe My Big Fat Greek Wedding holds the all-time box office record for the longest stay in the top 10 box office list without ever being number 1 at the box office. It has the record for the longest stay in the top 10 box office charts without ever having been number 1 at the box office, which was incredible. And him in it, playing the dad, he was such an integral part of the heart and the soul of that movie. And it was just very, very special. And you know what? It wasn't just people who were Greek that were able to appreciate it. like any of us of any kind of European descent, like my family's Italian, obviously, but watching My Big Fat Greek Wedding, I just felt like if they changed the accent and the names of the foods and things like that, you very well could have said this was called My Big Fat Italian Wedding. I mean, you could have practically done that. And I think a lot of people with like European descent felt kind of the same way. Felt the same way about it. Anyway, this comes to us from the folks over at Deadline, who writes, Constantine was best known as Gus Portokalos in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, an indie film that rose out of nowhere to become a smash hit. It spawned a sequel, which was not great, and a third version was in the planning stages. Constantine had a long career before that breakout hit. He was the school principal on the popular TV series Room 222, which ran on ABC TV from 1969 to 1974. He won an Emmy for the role in 1970. Beyond that role, he also appeared on TV shows like The Untouchables, Kojak, and Airwolf. His credits also includes guest roles on Naked City, Perry Mason, Ironside, Gunsmoke, and Hey Landlord in the 1960s, and Remington Steele, Murder, She Wrote, and Law and Order in the 80s and 90s. I want to tell just a quick little story too. I had the privilege, you might have heard me mention this before. I had the privilege of meeting and getting to sit down and have lunch one day with Michael Constantine. He and I both attended this one thing called the 48-hour film school that Quentin Tarantino recommended. A couple of filmmaker friends of mine recommended it to me. And so I thought, sure, I'm going to go take this 2-day program put on by this guy called Dove Simmons. And I went and attended it down in Hollywood, and it was held at the Raleigh Studios down in Hollywood. And Michael Constantine was there attending it as well. I mean, there was a bunch of people there, but Michael Constantine was there as well. And he and I ended up sitting beside each other and during the thing. And on day one, I asked him, would you like to come have lunch? He said, sure. And there's this place up the road from Raleigh Studios in Hollywood called like Astro Burger or something like that. So we just walked over there and we sat down and had lunch. And I was asking him, like, just out of curiosity, I mean, you're an Emmy winner, you're an award-winning actor already. What are you doing here? And he went on for the next like 20 to 30 minutes talking about, if there's anything I've learned in the business, is that you've never learned everything, which I thought was amazing. I thought first of all, that's just a great quote for life. That's just a great quote for life. If I've learned anything in this business, it's that you've never learned everything. And then he went on to talk a lot about his just pure passion for storytelling, how much he loved the movies, how much he loved TV, how much he loved the honor that he had to be able to, for an hour and a half to 2 hours in a movie theater, or for 30 minutes to an hour on a TV screen, come into people's lives or into people's homes and be a part of entertainment and fantasy and all this kind of stuff. He loved storytelling. He loved it. And he was like, and I'm getting older. And this was a few years ago. He goes, I'm getting older. And I would really like to get more into, making these stories as opposed to being the actor in front of it. And, so I'm always looking to learn more, and I just want to tell stories. And I just sat there for that 45-minute lunch, just enraptured. Do you ever feel like sitting like a schoolgirl staring at Indiana Jones? That was me. I was just like, listening to Michael Constantine talk about the magic of storytelling and how passionate he was about it and how much he loved it and how much it meant to him. And you could see that joy. You could see that joy when you go back and you watch like a My Big Fat Greek Wedding or something like that. Just in the way he plays it on camera, you could see the love he has in his heart for the art. And I was very sad to hear about his passing. Mark Newman in the live chat is asking, did you pick up the bill, John? As a matter of fact, I did. We just had burgers, so it was fine, but I did pick up the bill. I bought Michael Constantine lunch one day. But hearing him that day helped me focus on what it was I loved about movies and what I loved about the art and what I loved about storytelling. as a fan, but also somebody who wanted to do a little bit of it. And so, yeah, very sad to hear about his passing. He was 94 years old. He lived a great life. Again, Emmy Award-winning actor Michael Constantine passes away at the age of 94. And all of us here who are involved with the John Campea Show send our best thoughts and wishes to all those who knew and loved him. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about when you think about Michael Constantine? I already told you the story about what I think about. Jump on down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's move now into main topic number 3. And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Sam. And Sam writes, "Hi, John. I am a huge fan of the show. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Sam. I saw the runtime for Venom, Let There Be Carnage. It's 1 hour and 30 minutes. And I wanted your opinion. Does that mean they could cut a lot of things from the movie? I'm not saying this movie's going to be awful, but 1 hour and 30 minutes, that seems really short for a superhero movie. What are your thoughts? And have a great day." All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, of course, big news a few days ago when it got announced that Venom was actually moving up in the release schedule. There had been some rumblings that Sony was looking at maybe pushing it off till January, but they instead moved it up a couple of weeks, and it's now coming out on October 1st. We've got like 3 weeks until Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and I ain't gonna lie to you guys, I am super excited about this. I am super excited about Venom, Let There Be Carnage, because granted, I liked it more than a lot of people, but I loved the first Venom. I had so much fun in that movie. I didn't know, I mean, I expected it would be good, but I wasn't expecting how much fun I had with it. I smiled, laughed. I brought my brother-in-law, Ray, who does the graphics on our show. So Ray and I went to it, and we were just like, that was great. I had so much fun with it. And of course, it was a runaway smash hit, making over $800 million at the box office. And especially, so I was looking forward to a sequel anyway, but especially when they announced that Andy Serkis was going to be coming in to direct. And Andy Serkis has been doing a lot of good work behind the camera. So when they announced that he was going to be coming in to direct this thing, I got even more excited for it, and I'm pumped for it. Now, we have not heard about what the runtime on Venom is going to be. But what happened the other day was Fandango, under their Venom Let There Be Carnage listing, they showed a runtime of 1 hour and 30 minutes. Since that time, a number of movie theater chains, including chains like AMC Theaters, have started listed Venom, Let There Be Carnage, their runtime as 90 minutes. 1 hour and 30 minutes. And it was like Obi-Wan in Star Wars. You could feel a great disturbance in the fan force as millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror, and they were silenced. By the way, our friends Kevin Cow and the Batman send in super chat badges in the live chat. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. So 90 minutes coming out. Now, we haven't heard from Sony yet that this is official. That's officially going to be 90 minutes. We haven't heard that, but I don't think there's any reason with Fandango and the movie theaters, with the movie just 3 weeks away, listing it at 1 hour and a half. I don't think there's any real reason to believe it's not going to be 1 hour and a half. It might not be. We might hear from Sony soon enough. And I'm already hearing some people panicking. To which my response is, what's the problem? What's the problem? Listen, and I'll tell you why. Because what is normally my most common complaint? Now, there's a lot of different issues you can have with different movies, but even amongst a lot of movies I like, my common personal complaint usually is they could have shaved like 10, 15 minutes out of it. It could have shaved, like, this movie, you could have lopped an entire half hour out of this movie, would have been better. If you just took the edit razor blade and just cut like 12, 13 minutes out of this movie, it would have been tighter, it would have had better pace, it would have flowed better. Like, for me, I'm normally complaining that even in movies I really like, that they could have slimmed it down a little bit to give it better pace and just have a better flow, right? Some movies are great and perfect at 3 hours, but some movies are great and perfect at 90 minutes. there's a misconception amongst a lot of movie fans that longer equals better, and that is simply not true. There are some movies where the longer runtime suits that movie better, and that works. But there's also a lot of movies that a shorter, tighter package would have been better suited for that movie, and it works. But I'm hearing a lot of people panicking in 90 minutes. Oh my God. Oh my God. You know what? Lion King, that a lot of us believe is the greatest animated film of all time. Lion King is under 90 minutes. I think it's like 82 minutes or something like, I can't remember, but it's around the 90-minute mark, but it's under 90 minutes. A lot of people love Zombieland. Zombieland was under 90 minutes. Wes Anderson's The Grand Budapest Hotel, that so many cinephiles love that movie. Guess what? It's right around 90 minutes. Films like Gravity, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Doctor Strangelove. I mean, these are all movies that are like 90 minutes, some of them shorter. Some, My Neighbor Totoro is like 80 minutes or something. Look, the point is this. Venom would not be better if it was 4 hours long, and it's not better or worse if it's 90 minutes. The question is going to be when we see the movie, does the runtime fit the movie? Because a lot of movies that come out these days mistakenly think that more is better, and that's not necessarily true. Like I said, even some of the great movies that I love watching, I'll have a common complaint. It's, yeah, it would have flowed better if you shaved out 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Just where there were some unnecessary scenes that didn't need to be there. But like that, even for movies that I love, to me, I look at 90 minutes and I don't think, oh, good, that means the movie's going to be better. Not at all. But I absolutely don't look at it and say, oh, that means the movie's not going to be as good. That's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. It doesn't mean that at all. So, yeah, I am perfectly fine with this runtime. Because again, it's not a one size fits all. Fans, if you're one of those fans who thinks longer equals better, you're delirious. It all depends on the movie. And if this movie is going to be all killer, no filler at 90 minutes, and it hums, and it has great flow, and it has great pace, and it comes to the end of the movie and it leaves us wanting more, then guess what? 90 minutes is the perfect runtime for it. Now, if we watch the movie and we feel like, damn, they tried to do way too much in this movie with 90 minutes. This is a movie that needed another 15, 20 minutes tacked on to give a little bit more breathing room to some of these concepts they try to shoehorn into it. If that's the case, then yes, the movie should be longer. But the point is, every movie is going to be unique. Every movie is going to have its own unique runtime. The key is, does it have a runtime that fits perfectly with the movie at hand? And if it does, perfect. So let's not worry. Let's not celebrate a movie being announced to be 3 hours. And let's not worry about a movie being announced to be 90 minutes. Let's go in, see the movie, see how it turns out, because some of the best movies of all time have been at or under 90 minutes before. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this news that it looks like, at any rate, unless Sony comes out and debunks this, but, you know, the movie theater changed, Fandango, they're all saying that Venom Let There Be Carnage is going to clock in at 90 minutes. What do you think about that? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 4, shall we? And our fourth main topic today gets submitted to us by Sam. And nope, that's the wrong one. This one comes to us from Ryan Millen, who writes, "Hi, John and Aaron." Obviously, Aaron didn't make it in today. Okay, so this might be cheating a little bit because the Matrix 4 trailer hasn't actually come out yet. He wrote this in last night. But by the time your show starts, it should be out. So I wanted to get a head start and ask you what you thought about it. Does it give you more hope for the movie? I know you said you weren't excited for it before, so I wanted to know if that's changed. Thanks. All right, Ryan, thanks a lot for sending that in. And by the way, our friend Just Luck sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Just Luck. Yeah, now, of course, Aaron and I had a chance to see the Matrix Resurrections trailer at CinemaCon. They also showed us like 8 or 9 minutes of footage from the movie, which was really cool. It was really, really cool. And they capped it off by showing us the trailer a few weeks ago. And before I give my thoughts on the trailer, let me set a little bit of context. I am not looking forward to Matrix 4. And I haven't been looking forward to it from the day they announced it. I'm just being full transparency here. Full, open, honest transparency. I have seen zero reason to be excited for this. None. There's no reason to be excited for it, in my opinion, for me. John, didn't you like The Matrix? Of course I love The Matrix. Everybody loves the first Matrix. The first Matrix is incredible. It's iconic. Like if they opened a wing, there, the Academy is opening a museum. If the Academy in their museum opened a Hall of Fame for movies, the first Matrix belongs in that Hall of Fame, right? So yeah, don't get me wrong. I love the first Matrix. Well then, John, if you love the Matrix, why aren't you excited for Matrix Resurrections? Why aren't you excited for it? Well, because of this. What happened since the first Matrix movie? Well, you had Matrix 2 or Matrix Reloaded, which I actually like more than most people do, but a lot of people, almost everybody agrees that if the first Matrix was here, the second Matrix was here. Like the Matrix was a dip. Matrix Reloaded was a dip. And a lot of people don't like it. I personally did, but it wasn't great and it wasn't nearly as good as the first one. And then they had Matrix Revolutions. They had the final Matrix film, and it was like, I don't know a lot of people that like that movie. I'm sure a bunch of people do. That's the beauty of the subjectivity of film. I'm just saying, I don't personally know a lot of people that like Matrix Revolutions, Matrix the third one. I don't know a lot of people personally that like that movie. And then what did the Wachowskis do since then? Well, they did Speed Racer, which is a complete bag of shit, in my opinion. I hate that movie. Now, I know some of you like it, and that's great. If you like it, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying for me, I thought Speed Racer was just terrible. And then they had Cloud Atlas. Cloud Atlas has its fans, but honestly, I thought it was a tremendously overstuffed, self-important, missed opportunity of a movie. So I didn't think Cloud Atlas was very good. But there are a bunch of people who do, and I respect that. Totally cool. But so you had Speed Racer, you had Cloud Atlas, and then you had what I honestly believe to be one of the top 10 worst films in cinematic history. It doesn't crack the unholy trinity of the top 3 worst all-time big Hollywood wide release films. That's Catwoman, The Highlander 2, and the John Travolta one. Why am I freezing on the John Travolta one? Whatever. I'm glad I'm freezing on Battlefield Earth. Damn, why did I remember it? I was hoping I would forget it forever. But Jupiter Ascending honestly belongs in the top 10 worst films of all time. One of the worst films of all time. So let's sit back and look at it again. And on top of all that, it's not even both Wachowskis returning. It's only one of them. Only one of the Wachowskis is doing this one. So you had a magnificent Matrix movie followed by a quick decline in quality in the rest of the franchise. And since that time, we've had Jupiter Ascending, we've had Cloud Atlas, and we've had Speed Racer. So I again ask, why on earth should I feel excited about Matrix Resurrections? There is no reason to feel excited for it. If you're me, there's no reason to feel excited for it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm curious about it. I'll definitely watch it and give it a shot. But I feel there's no legitimate reason I should feel excited about this. So with that as the background, with that as the big background, I'm sitting there at CinemaCon and they said, okay, let's talk Matrix 4. By the way, the title is Matrix Resurrections. Makes sense since Neo died in the last ones. And here you go. And I will tell you this. Understanding that I am somebody who has no excitement for this movie, who's felt no reason, there's any legitimate reason to look forward to this movie. I don't think there's anything but evidence to feel pessimistic about this movie. As a guy who feels that way, I will tell you this. This trailer is fucking awesome. This trailer is ucking fawsome. It is absolutely ucking fawsome. It is a beautiful, excellent example of the art of trailer making. Because remember, I say this all the time. And by the way, our friend Osvaldo sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, dude. Here's the thing. We say this all the time. The job of a trailer, the reason a trailer exists, is to take your excitement level, no matter how high or how low it currently is, and just bump it up a couple of notches. Just bump it up a couple of notches. That's all you got to do. That's the job of a trailer. And when you can take a movie that I have very little belief in, very, very little belief in, and you deliver a trailer that leaves me drooling a little bit and going, play it again, play it again, play it again. When you've got a trailer that does that to a movie that I'm not even interested in, damn, son, you've done a hell of a job making your trailer. And I'll tell you what, it starts right from the beginning. It starts right from the beginning with the music choice. You know, that classic, I think it's from the 70s, of one pill makes you larger, another pill makes you small. I don't know the exact lyrics. Screw off. I don't care. I don't know the exact lyrics, all right? So the whole song about the pills and one does this, I'm like, well, that's perfect for Matrix. But just the pacing of the song and the beats of the song, it's just like, it just melded in with the visuals on screen. I'm like, damn, this is a thing of beauty. This is a thing of absolute beauty. And I couldn't believe it. And then and I remember, this is just a first trailer. I don't expect the first trailer to lay out, here's what the movie's about, here's our primary players. I don't need the first trailer to do that. The first trailer, I just need it personally, give me a taste of the movie. What is this movie going to taste like? And with the visions, and it did give us a lot. Look, obviously Neo is back in the Matrix. He's got some sort of amnesia. So that's cool. He's got some kind of amnesia. Obviously a part of this movie is going to be him rediscovering who he is. We get a lot of nostalgia. We've obviously got a young Morpheus in there. We've got the pills. We've got the guys coming out of their chamber with the robotic arms plug. We got the plugs in there. So there's all the nostalgia stuff is in there. But it's intercut beautifully with the music, with these terrific glimpses and shots of the action and the various types of action. Like, not even every clip or every little shot they showed was of Neo punching somebody in the face. It was one shot of a certain kind of action, then another shot of another kind of action, and then another shot of another kind of action. And then, by the way, love that shot of Trinity. Love that shot of Carrie-Anne Moss. I mean, I loved it when she showed up in the Netflix MCU stuff because I really like Carrie-Anne Moss. But this shot in the trailer, it's like, okay, this looks to me like some kind of an awakening. I could be totally wrong about that. But this shot right here looks to me, it's like she's waking up. And she's now realizing, and like with all her Trinity power and stuff like that, and all the badassness we saw from the original films, and still rocking the leather. Gotta like that, Carrie. Rocking that leather. I love it. It was just absolutely fantastic. And again, these classic shots, like something like this. This is classic Matrix, right? This is classic Matrix. When we think of Matrix, we think of things like this. And that definitely stood out. And of course, the only thing they were missing, I'm sure, in this shot right here, as soon as this, 3 seconds after this, you're going to hear, whoa. You got to get a whoa, right? Like it's not right if we don't get a whoa. You got to have a whoa. By the way, that's a 57-year-old man right there. You're never going to convince me that at some point in his mid-20s, that Keanu Reeves didn't make a deal with a Crossroads demon and drank the blood of a unicorn, because this guy looks like he's in his mid-30s. Okay, this guy looks like he's in his mid-30s. And by the way, A quick thing, our friend Zombie TV sends in like a $20 super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Zombie. Appreciate that very much, man. That's really, that's great of you. And Love Slot also sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you guys very much. But yeah, he's either a vampire or he drank the blood of a unicorn, or I don't know. He's just unaging. It's crazy. But yeah, again, got to highlight this, because I think it's important to keep this context in mind. I had no interest in this movie. None. Zero. And listen, I'm not going to lie to you. The trailer has not suddenly made me super excited for this. It did bump up my expectations and my excitement a little bit, though. It did. It absolutely did that job, because I had zero interest. Now I've got a bit of interest. Don't get too excited, though, because we have all seen fantastic trailers to terrible movies. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here. I'm just saying we've all seen it before. We've all seen it. We've all seen terrible movies that had absolutely fantastic trailers. And maybe this is one of those. Or maybe the trailer really did just give us a taste of some greatness to come. All I know is that your trailer has to be pretty damn spectacular to give me any sort of hope or give me any kind of interest in this movie. This trailer did it for me. Not a lot. I'm not now sitting here going, woohoo, can't wait to see Matrix 4. I'm not there yet. But I'm a lot closer to that than I was before this trailer. So all I got to say is bravo to whatever trailer house Warner Brothers hired to make this trailer. Whoever Warner Brothers hired to make this trailer, bravo. You guys did a spectacular job, an absolutely spectacular job. Coming from a guy who just made a documentary about trailers, I will tell you, you did a spectacular job making this. Now, of course, let's talk for a second about how Warner Brothers already stabbed this movie in the back. About Warner Brothers has already double-crossed all the people who made this movie. About how Warner Brothers has betrayed all the people who put their blood, sweat, and tears and years of effort into making this movie by pulling the shit, idiotic, stupid, double-cross move of they're going to drop it on HBO Max. It's really too bad, because I'm watching this trailer. I'm like, yeah. And then the final screen, in theaters and on HBO Max. I'm like, you sons of bitches. You double-crossed this movie. You've crippled its box office chances. Way to go. Way to go, you complete morons over there. But I don't know. I'm going to go see this in theaters. This trailer has convinced me this movie deserves a shot. So I'm going to go see this damn movie in theaters. I'm going to go see it the way the filmmakers intended it to be seen. I'm going to go contribute to the box offices at this thing. I'm going to go see this thing in theaters. If you live in a place where that's not possible, watch it however you can watch it. But I'm going to be going to the theaters to check this thing out. And damn you, Warner Brothers, for double-crossing more filmmakers and double-crossing another movie and cutting another movie off at the knees. And hey, way to go, geniuses. No wonder AT&T got rid of your asses. Again, I'll tell you what, when the Discovery guys take over, a lot of y'all are going to be losing your jobs. When the Discovery guys take over, a lot of y'all are going to be losing your jobs. Absolutely idiotic. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think of this Matrix trailer? As a matter of fact, I decided to make that the topic of today's question of the day. So about an hour before the show started, I jumped on Twitter and I put up a poll question simply asking, question of the day, did the Matrix 4 trailer make you more excited to see this movie? 56.4% of you are saying, yes, you are now more excited. 24.6% are saying you're still the same, you were already excited. But it didn't increase your excitement. You're already excited for it. And 19% of you said, no, you are less excited now. That's with about 3,000 votes that you guys have put in there since we put this up about an hour ago. So there you have it. Question is for you, though, guys. How do you feel about this trailer? Did you like it as much as me? Maybe not as much. Maybe you didn't like it at all. Whatever you feel about it, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With all that down, by the way, our friend Meshach82 sends in like a $20 super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Meshach. Appreciate that very, very much. With all that down now, guys, let's move over and start taking your live comments and questions, shall we? And we're going to get things started off here with your live questions coming to us from Koa17All who writes, does showing up in a post-credit scene count as being in a movie? No. When actors sign contracts with Marvel, i.e. Brie Larson signed up to do 5 MCU movies? No. It's a very good question. So when we see like, here's another good example. I think it was Thor: The Dark World, where Loki just quickly turns into Chris Evans for a second. Remember that in Loki in Thor: The Dark World? He quickly turns into Captain America for a second, right? That didn't count against Chris Evans's movie contract. What they did was they reached out to Chris Evans' representation and said, hey, can we make a deal to have Chris come down to set for a day and do a quick appearance, and then they worked out what he would be compensated and stuff like that. I think also for characters that just pop up in a post-credit scene, it's the same deal. Hey, we just need your client to come down for like one day. Let's make an arrangement. Let's make a deal. And they'll sign probably like a separate side contract. So that's probably what you're looking at there, is a separate side contract. So no, it wouldn't count against the overall deal. All right, next up. We got Jonathan who writes, what determines which trailer is shown in theaters? I was disappointed No Way Home wasn't shown at ShangChi, but the new Jackass movie was. Is that Jackass movie still relevant? If the explanation is too long, try to simplify it. Thanks. Well, it's really rather simple. It's a combination of the theaters themselves and the exhibitors or the distributors who are putting the movies out. And by the way, I was in one ShangChi screening that did show the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, but it'll be different from theater chain to theater chain, from theater location to theater location. So as all these little deals are made, and it all kind of depends. So there's a lot of different moving parts. All right, next up. Let's see. Jonathan writes, is it just me? But are you also getting tired of people screaming, it's Mephisto? It was fun during WandaVision, but now with No Way Home, it's just getting tiring to the point where I really don't want Mephisto to show up. No, I'm fine with it. Look, whatever makes people have fun is fine. It's Mephisto, yeah. But Robert has been saying that a lot too. So I don't know. It doesn't bother me. It only irritates me when I hear people saying that and knowing that they really mean it. Knowing that they really mean, yeah, we honestly think it's going to be Mephisto. That's when that happens. So, but you know what? Eventually it's going to be true. Eventually it will be Mephisto. So we'll see. All right, next up. I like Yellow Flash in the live chat is saying Jonathan is Mephisto. So there you go. Jonathan's just trying to throw us off the scent here. All right. Kamada writes, 1 of 4. Hey, John and Rob. Rob's not here today, obviously. It's been a while since I wrote in, but John, I survived my move. It was brutal, and I left about $30 of beer behind, which sucks. I've got my 50-inch 4K TV set up for movies and TV shows for streaming. Still need to get Ethernet. I still need to get Ethernet for streaming. But I'm writing in to say just how much I loved Shang-Chi. It was my first time back in the movie theaters in a year for this movie, and it was so beautiful to watch. I went with my sister, and as an actress herself, she was floored with it. This movie was so beautiful to watch. If there was an award for the fights, this movie should win it all. The story of this movie, my sister said when it was done, it's the best movie the MCU has done in years. The colors, the bus sequence fights were absolutely crazy. This movie is great to watch again. Now, on to something of the movies you've been talking about to see, like The Suicide Squad, Free Guy, Nobody, and your favorite movie of the year, A Quiet Place Part 2, then getting set in the new house, Bring on the Filthy. Well, congratulations on the move. As somebody who is, you know, Ann and I had to move recently. We moved back in February is when we moved into our first house, the first house that she or I ever actually owned, first time ever. Moving is a pain in the ass, man. Moving is a pain in the ass. And I have had to move several times, and I hate it. I hate it. So when Ann and I were moving from Burbank to Riverside, I forked over, I dug deep, I sacrificed a few things, and I penny pinched for a bit, and I got like $3,000 together. and I paid $3,000 for movers to come and do everything. Like, that's how much I hate moving. Because if you know anything about me, I hate spending money. I'm a cheap SOB. I'm a cheap son of a bitch. I really am. But I paid like $3,000 to have like this team of movers to come and literally move everything. They moved it all. They disassembled everything. They assembled everything. They put everything exactly where I wanted it. So there was none of this BS, packing and unpacking thing. I hated it so. I hate spending money. The only thing I hate worse than spending money is moving. So I scrimped and I saved a little bit, and I got together $3,000 to pay for it. And that's bloody expensive. But you know what? I would do it again, because if they sent over a team, nobody cares about this, but I'll just say this quick. They sent over a team of like 7 guys, big, massive truck that could take everything. And they had the whole house ripped down, packed away, everything in like 2 hours. And then it was on the road back here. And once they got here, it was like 3 hours after they got here, everything was where we wanted it to be. They did a great job. It was well worth the money. I highly recommend, guys, if you're going to do a move, sell some video games, don't eat out for a couple of months, save your money, and actually hire movers. You'll be so much happy, and you'll get less stuff destroyed. Less stuff will get wrecked. Less stuff will get lost. It's worth every penny. Do that. All right. Okay, next up. Let's see. Dangerous D writes, "Hey, John. I noticed the DCEU is susceptible to criticism more than Marvel. My proof, Man of Steel fans hate the dark tone. Man of Steel fans hate the dark tone. Justice League, Warner Brothers didn't like the direction Zack was going. They replaced him. I know Aquaman made billions, but it was an unknown commodity. There was little expectations of it. Joker succeeded because fans love Joker. Wonder Woman succeeded because first time on screen. I know Aquaman and Shazam have sequels. Now they're established. It's interesting to see if they succeed. If past is prologue, I doubt their success." I disagree with you, Dangerous D. The DCU is not more susceptible to criticism. They have gotten more criticism because people haven't liked their movies as much. It's just as simple as that. People didn't like Joker because people didn't like the Joker movie because people like Joker. That's not true at all. If that was true, everybody would love Fantastic Four because everybody loves Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom's like one of the arguably in the top 3 or 4 greatest comic book villains of all time. He's beloved. It didn't mean people like the movie. People love Spider-Man. Didn't mean they loved Spider-Man 3 or The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I mean, so no, and Wonder Woman didn't succeed because it was her first time on screen. Lots of movies had characters with their first time on screen. All of that is bullshit. None of that is real. They get criticized more for one reason and one reason only. They make movies that people don't like as much. And then they make some that they do. Aquaman was just a great, fun time at the movies, and it was hugely successful, made over $1 billion. I knew that film would be successful. I never thought it would make $1 billion. I never thought that would make $1 billion. I knew it would be a success. I never pegged it at $1 billion. It made $1 billion. Joker made $1 billion. I mean, listen, it's all about making good movies. Everybody's looking for formulas, and this happened. Everybody's looking for formulas and patterns. Guys, there's no formula or pattern. When you make good movies that people enjoy, you have success.
Well, John, what about Suicide Squad?
Oh, yeah, everyone. But I'm telling you this. You continue to lay the foundation of making good movies, it's going to lead to bigger success. That's how Marvel just made good movies that people enjoyed, and they didn't all make $1 billion right away. But what happened is they laid the foundation of making quality movies that people liked and people enjoyed, and more, you saw people coming out to support them because they laid that foundation. DC, I think, is in the process of trying to do that same thing, and we'll see where it goes. All right, next up. Jonathan writes, by the way, I generally listen to your shows as I deliver, typically after my lunch. Sometimes, if it's busy and I finish your show early, I go over to your companion videos. Basically, please keep giving me more hours of your show because I will get bored at work. No problem, dude. We put out like a couple of hours of content every day, whether it's just the John Campea Show or the John Campea Show in a companion video or a open spoiler discussion or something like that. We'll keep delivering, Jonathan. Thanks for listening to it, dude. I appreciate it. All right, next up, Dangerous D writes, "Hey, John. I realize the DCEU sequels / reboot don't fare well, excluding Dark Knight trilogies. Look at Man of Steel. Basically, Superman reboot critics hate it. The Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman 84. So far, the track record is not good. Hope Aquaman 2 and Shazam 2 and Black Adam does well, but odds are it will fail." Again, you're looking for patterns. Ignore the patterns. Just because, what was it? The Suicide Squad 2 didn't do great at the box office. That doesn't have anything to do with how Aquaman 2 will do or how Shazam 2 will do at all. So quit trying to find those patterns unless there's a direct connection. There's not really direct connection here. These movies will stand or fall based on their own quality and how good their marketing campaigns are. And it's going to be as simple as that. And let's see how they do. All right. Let's see. Dangerous D also writes, "Hey, John, I know the thought of Justice League versus the Suicide Squad isn't your cup of tea. No, I think it's an absolutely stupid idea. But I got a storyline. What if Justice League's conscious were somehow transferred to the bodies of some Suicide Squad members? Batman's body taken by, I don't know what KS Soups is, by Deathstroke, Wonder Woman by a Waller, Flash by Hart. Nah, I don't like the idea. Just be honest with you, I don't like the idea. Joseph Curtis writes, you almost had one of the names of my favorite goaltenders, Curtis Joseph, but it's the other way around. Joseph Curtis writes, "Hey, John, just wanted to say 3 things. Love your channel. Thank you. Ted Lasso season 2 is just as heartwarming as season 1. I completely agree. I'm loving it. And ShangChi is incredible. Love the movie. And for me, the people saying how the flashbacks had bad pacing, get out of here. Cheers." I don't hear many people saying that personally. The non-linear way of them telling this story was fantastic. And it takes a very skilled director. Got to refill my glass with Zevia Cola. Sponsor me, you insufferably cheap sons of bitches. I thought that was an absolute strength of the film. The non-linear way they told the backstory and the background, revealing certain pieces of it to the audience as they go when they would have premium impact. To me, I thought that was a strength of it. That's just me though. That's just me. All right, next up. Dangerous D writes, "Hey, John, is there any news to the sequel of Face Off? I know they announced it back in 2019, but there hasn't been any current updates, and over under John Travolta and Nicolas Cage would reprise their roles. By the way, did Cage's character die?" I think there is 0 chance that we see John Travolta and Nicolas Cage reprise their roles. I wouldn't be terribly surprised if they did a cameo. Kind of like, how in the A-Team movie, they had a couple of the original cast come and do quick cameos. I could totally see that happening. I could see them doing that. Yeah, basically, no. I've heard no development, no news on the Face Off sequel. I still think they should do one with Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. I think that's like, you're welcome, everybody. They should totally make that movie. Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds in Face Off. That's the movie the world needs. But anyway, I love the first Face Off. I love that movie. You know the quote I'm going to say. I quote it every time Face Off comes up. If I asked you, no, wait. If I let you suck my tongue, would you be grateful? One of the great all-time lines in movie history, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, I love that movie, but no, as of right now, I have unfortunately heard no updates on it, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. All right. Let's see. Let's move on here. Where are we at? We are at Yumi. Yumi writes, "Reporting back after my $5." Oh, I remember you, because in Sweden you had the $5 day. "Reporting back after my $5 day Free Guy ShangChi double feature. I loved both. I see why you had a hard time picking one. For me, Free Guy gets the edge for the in the theater entertainment, but ShangChi is the movie that will stick with me longer. Also, I have never been as thankful for Disney purchasing 20th Century Studios as I was after watching the pier scene in Free Guy. I know what you mean. Wouldn't have been the same without those glorious Easter eggs. Thanks for turning me on to both films and Bring On the Filthy. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you what, the last month or so has been so great for me as a film fan, because I've had a chance to see several movies that I absolutely love. Suicide Squad, which I thought was incredible. Free Guy was amazing. And Shang-Chi, I've seen it 6 times in theaters. What more do I need to say? And Shang-Chi is just fantastic. It's just so great to be able to go to the movies and love the movies again. And listen, guys, we got a packed October. And it's going to be the first time, October is going to be really the first time that it's going to feel like we're getting back into that habit of going back to the movie theaters again, because we're actually literally going to have new movies every week, like high profile movies, several big high profile movies in October. Cannot wait. And I'm glad you had a good time with it, man. All right, next up. Good kid from Scarborough. I like Scarborough. I dated a girl from Scarborough once. Anyway, I'm very disappointed that on episode 3 of What If, I didn't see your character during the Hulk scene. What happened to your character in this universe? I don't know what you're talking about, good kid from Scarborough. I don't know what you're talking about. That's all I'm going to say. I never said I was in that scene. That's all I'm going to say. But thank you for the kind words, dude. All right, Ahmed Z writes. Let's see. By the way, John, the only reason I think I'm not a fan of the theaters as much anymore is because I end up going alone and I'm clinically depressed, but hopefully I can end up loving it again like I used to back in the college days when I saw Man of Steel. Hey, dude, first of all, number one, if you recognize you're clinically depressed, congrats, dude. That puts you ahead of a lot of people who are, because you recognize it and you acknowledge it. So good on you. Because being able to identify and acknowledge it, that's key. I really do hope, though, Ahmed, that you're taking that extra step and making sure you're getting some help with that. Because, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I do not know why we have a stigma attached to seeking, to pursuing mental health. I don't know why there's a stigma to that. Like, we applaud going to the gym so we can lift weights, so we can get stronger. Going to the gym is not an admission that you're weak. That's not what going to the gym. We don't look at going to the gym as if it's an admission of being weak. We applaud people who go to the gym because they're taking care of themselves, they're taking care of their health, and they go to get stronger. And we applaud that. I think the exact same should be true with our mental health. I don't know why there's still a stigma when some people are even afraid to admit they go and get counseling or therapy sometimes. I think that's incredibly great. If you're taking steps saying, hey, you know what? I want to look after my mental health as much as I look after my physical health. I think that's great. And the fact that you acknowledge it, I hope you're getting some help in there too. And you know what? Here's the thing, Ahmed. I personally have no problem going to the movies alone. I have no issue going to the movies alone. I go to a lot of movies alone. Now, don't get me wrong. I love going to the movies with Ann, or my buddy Sol, or my friend Ryan, my brother-in-law Ray, or Aaron, or whatever, or Kim. I love going to the movies with people. I really do. It's awesome. But I also personally have no problem going alone, because man, I love getting in that movie theater, smelling that popcorn in the air, which is a butter delivery device, of course. My mouth starts to water. That magic moment of when you walk through the doors of actually going in, like you've come into the building, yeah, but now that magic moment when you walk through the door and you're going actually into the theater itself, and you come out of that hallway and you see the screen and you find your seat and you settle in and the lights go down and that show starts. So for me personally, even when I go alone, I personally still have a good time. But anyway, best to you, Ahmed. Thanks for sharing that, man. All right, next up, the Sock writes. I'm watching Heat for the first time, and I'm at the part where Neil and Ide are talking to each other on his balcony, and I was so taken in with the view. Absolutely gorgeous. Did you ever have a view like that in LA? I have my best view in LA. Yeah, my best view in Los Angeles. Did you guys ever see, I'm going to see if I can find a picture of this. None of you care. I know none of you care. But I Let's see if I can bring this up. When I first moved to Hollywood, I moved into a set of apartments right in Hollywood, right off Sunset. Like I was basically, my building was right on Sunset Boulevard. And right across the street from my window, was this place called Seventh Veil. Now, if you guys think you recognize this particular, this building, it's because this building was featured in the opening title sequence of Entourage. If you ever used to watch Entourage, you know they've got the clips of them driving down Sunset Boulevard. They showed the Cinerama Dome and whatever. Well, one of the things that they showed driving by was the Seventh Veil. And my apartment was literally right across the street from Seventh Veil. And when, I would have my windows closed, it wasn't bad. Like, it wasn't like you see in movies where the lights keep you up. Like, I was up on like the top floor, which was like the fourth floor. But you could see the little neon glow in my window shades a bit. My buddy used to joke and say, it's like circus lights calling out to children. We need to go there. Anyway, but that right there was the best. That was the best view I ever had. That was the best view I'd ever had. Was right there. That was it. No other place I ever lived in LA ever had any kind of a view. However, I told you guys I moved a while ago, right? I told you guys that I moved a while ago. Let me see if I can. Let me show you this. This is a picture. Oh no, that would have been a lie because that's not there. I do, however, have a great view where I live now. I have a great view where I live now. Let me see if I can bring it up here. This is a view from my backyard last night. I took this picture last night as the sun was going down. This is the reason when people ask me, why did you move out of LA? The reason I moved out of LA is because I could never get a place that had a view like this. I could never possibly afford a place that had a view like this. So, I mean, this is at sunset. The sunsets are gorgeous. I've got the mountains and trees, and it's just, and my backyard is elevated like 20 feet above it. And that's a golf course in my backyard. But then it's overlooking mountains, and off in the distance, you can see the city lights of downtown Riverside and all that kind of stuff. That was definitely one of the reasons we moved out of LA. It's because I couldn't possibly hope to afford something like that in LA. But if you move outside of LA, you can get some places you could actually afford. And that's why we moved there. By the way, our friend Donald Thomas sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Donald. Appreciate that, man. Okay. Let's get back over to what we're actually here to do, which is to talk about the questions you guys are sending in. Let's see here. That was the sock. Next up, we've got Super Korean Kick writes, hey guys, you guys always make my day brighter. Thank you so much. My question is, have you ever seen Mythic Quest? Ann and I have watched all of Mythic Quest. We're now just waiting for the next season. On Apple TV, it has to be one of the most underrated comedy shows of its time. Then decided to watch For All Mankind. Couldn't stop watching it. It's gold. Yeah, well, I've talked about For All Mankind on this show before. For All Mankind is absolutely wonderful. But I wouldn't say Mythic Quest is like one of the most underrated comedies of all time. I don't think it's like elite. Like, I don't think it's as good as Schitt's Creek or Kim's Convenience, but it's quite good. Mythic Quest. Now, maybe it's also because I'm a little bit biased because I played World of Warcraft for so many years of my life. But Mythic Quest is really quite good. It's a little bit of a cross of like The Office, but in a geek culture kind of setting where they do a video game. If you guys haven't watched it, I do recommend it. It comes from a couple of the guys who do It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but it's charming, and the lead girl in it is Filipino. And so obviously Anne likes that very much. But yeah, it's a good little show. If you haven't started watching it yet, take Super Korean Kick's advice and do give that show a try, because it's an entertaining little show. All right, Super Korean Punch also writes, hey guys, just wanted to say that you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I'm curious to know if you've ever seen the documentary Jobber. I always mispronounce this. This is the Dune thing. Yeah, I watched it with John Schnepp actually. Jodorowsky's, I always mispronounce it, Dune. It's about this director wanting to do his take on doing it, but it was too ambitious and it fell apart. Really looking forward to Dune. Yeah, and I would recommend going back, if you can find the video, back, it was either in the AMC or Collider days. I can't remember which one, but John Schnepp did a big, long thing about this particular documentary, and it's really interesting. I love these Hollywood kind of behind the scenes kind of documentaries that talk about how something did or did not come to be. But I would say go and look that up. It is really interesting. All right. Steve Alvarez writes, "Hey, John and crew. I don't think the studios have tried hard enough to make money off streaming. For example, instead of Disney charging $30 to own Black Widow, they could have initially charged $30 to rent the film for a one-time viewing with limited pauses and rewinds." Here's the problem though, Steve. Why would anybody do that? I mean, here's the thing. When you're misunderstanding Disney Plus. Once you pay that $30, you do not own it. Like, understand that very clearly. On Disney Plus, when you pay $30 for that movie, it's not like you're getting it on Google Play or something like that, where now you own it. It's now part of your digital library. You're only renting it for a little bit. And once Black Widow gets on Disney Plus normally, that $30 you spent is gone. And by the way, if you end your subscription to Disney Plus, you don't still have Black Widow. It's gone. It's gone. You have to, if you want to keep having it, you have to continuously be a paying member of Disney Plus forever. You know, when I buy, Endgame, when I bought Endgame digitally, it's no longer connected. I bought it through Google Play. It's not like, once I stop being a Disney Plus subscriber, I don't have access to it. No. I bought Endgame. I have that there. It's going to be there for me to enjoy. It's just, the whole model is ridiculous. The whole model is ridiculous. Why would I pay $30 to watch a movie that I'm not even getting the theatrical experience, that I'm just sitting on my ass in my living room on the same couch in the same spot watching the same TV that I did this afternoon, this morning, yesterday, the day before that, and at the end of the day, all I'm really doing is getting early access to it because it's just coming on Disney Plus anyway in 45 days. I really don't understand why anybody would pay for it. I really don't. It's completely beyond me. So, but anyway, that's just kind of my take on it. And I'm saying this is something, I like Disney Plus very much, but that whole model to me is just absolutely ridiculous. All right, next up. Steve Alvarez. Oh, you had two. Okay. 2 or 3. Over time, Disney could have offered additional special features with rentals for super fans who wanted to support until the film was fully available for regular subscribers, which is only 45 days. Of course, this is just one of many ideas that they could have tried, but didn't. And I don't see any more Steve Alvarez. Again, yeah, I just think the whole model is ridiculous. I think the whole model is flawed. Anyway, Dangerous D writes, "Hey, John, I was remembering Vertigo Comics. They really some creative writers / artists poured their soul and created great stories like Transmetropolitan, Fables, Why the Last Man, Sandman, V for Vendetta, etc. What's your favorite, and could DC revive this?" Well, I mean, I was always late to it, but Anne got me turned on. Fable is incredible. By the way, written by the same guy who did the Why the Last Man, written by the same guy who did The Runaways. But yeah, I think it would have to be Fable. Like, Anne, I was unfamiliar with Fable at all, and Anne brought home a couple of the books, read them, and then was like, "You need to read these." I'm like, okay. I had read Why the Last Man, and I love Why the Last Man. I'm like, oh, same guy. Okay. So I went in, and it's remarkable. It's really, really good. Like, I like it a lot. Anne got into it because she's read all of the Runaways. She's like, everything that's been Runaways, she's read. And so she was really, once she saw it was the same guy who did that, that's why she picked it up and had a great cover on it, that artistic, beautiful cover where they got the baby and everything. So she's like, oh, I'm curious about that. So I'd probably have to say that one. And yes, Angel is asking in the live chat, isn't Why the Last Man being made into a TV show? Yep, the trailers are out already. You can already go and see the trailers. All right. Let's see. Where are we at now? Fanimator writes, if you were an executive at Warner Brothers and you can only greenlight one, which do you make? Zack Snyder's Man of Steel 2 or Batfleck? Easy. No problem. Easy. Done. Listen, I love Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. You guys know this. It's one of my all-time favorite comic book movies. I believe it is the most underrated comic book movie of all time. But there is a possibility I would be amicable to the idea of cutting off my left baby toe in order to have a Ben Affleck written, directed, starring Batman movie. I'm just telling you, if the aforementioned Crossroads demon came to me and said, yo, John, what's up? I said, what's up, Ed? Because his name's Ed. Didn't you know that? The Crossroad demon's name is Ed. Anyway, I say, what's up, Ed? Say, hey, listen, interesting offer for you. I could make it that Ben Affleck movie you want, where he writes, directs, and stars in a Batman movie. Yeah, I'm listening, Ed. I can make that happen for you. I can whisper in a few ears. I can make that happen. But it would require you taking these pruning shears and cutting off your left baby toe. I cannot tell you for certain that I would turn that offer down. I cannot tell you for certain that I would turn that offer down. Mike R is saying, Mike R in the live chat is saying Ed Fisto. Yes, it's Ed Fisto. Forget Mephisto. Mephisto sucks. It's Ed Fisto. So I am not denying that there is a good possibility I may take those garden shears to my left baby toe and cut that sucker off to see that movie. And don't get me wrong, I would love to see a Man of Steel too. I really would, obviously. But to get a Ben Affleck written, directed, starring in Batman film, dude, that's been the dream for a while. That's been the dream for a while. Anyway, so yeah, there's that. Okay, next up. Let's see. Chewy writes, hey, John, your show is my favorite. Thank you so much, dude. Your show is my favorite channel/show since I found it. I appreciate that, man. I really enjoy your right out of the theater reaction videos as they are helpful, but you released Shang-Chi reaction video. I waited and kept refreshing your page all week long. Thank you. I didn't see it before then. Like I released my Shang-Chi right out of theater reaction video as soon as I came out of the theater, right? So I released it as fast as I could, man. I released it. You know what? One of the reasons, too, that I'm pretty excited about all these movies we have coming in October is the fact that we're going to get to do more right out of the theater reactions. I really do like doing those, and it's crazy how many of you guys watch those. Like I just thought it would be a fun little thing that would get like 3, 4, 5,000 views. But like some of these right out of the theater reactions are getting like 50, 60, 90, 100,000 views. It's like kind of crazy. And I love doing them. So yeah, there will definitely be more coming, my friend. There will definitely be more coming. All right, next up. We got It's Chewy again writes, hey, John, I watched Snake Eyes and Shang-Chi in IMAX. Snake Eyes did not utilize IMAX while Shang-Chi did. How do I know what movie to watch in IMAX? What is your guide to this? Also, I watched Shang-Chi in IMAX and in Cinemark XD. IMAX was way worth it. Thank you. Well, I mean, you're kind of asking the wrong guy because IMAX isn't even... First of all, IMAX isn't going to make a bad movie a good movie, right? I mean, it can add to the experience, but an IMAX screen will not take a bad movie and magically transform it into a good movie. Even my buddy Ed Fisto can't do that. But it can heighten the experience. But here's the thing. IMAX isn't even my favorite format to watch a movie in. Now, when I watched Shang-Chi for the first time, it was at the premiere at the Chinese theater in Hollywood, and that's an IMAX screen. And it was gorgeous. It was gorgeous and beautiful. But my viewing theater of choice is actually the Dolby Cinemas at AMC Prime. Those are my favorite. That's my favorite movie going experience. The screen isn't as big, but they've got this breathtaking dual laser projection system, the Dolby Atmos sound, the full plush cushioned motorized reclining seats. It's just a wonderful way to experience a movie with a big crowd. And so I just think you know, when it comes to action films or whatever, yeah, you're going to want to probably go into your biggest screen possible, but there's other considerations just besides biggest screen. And so, hey, listen, I love the IMAX experience. I totally do, but I will 9 times out of 10, I'll choose the Dolby at AMC, even if the CEO is a big moron. Sorry, did I say that out loud? I shouldn't have said that out loud. I don't know. For all I know, Adam Aaron's a super sweet guy. I shouldn't say things like that. Maybe he's a super sweet guy. I just think he's an incompetent CEO, but that's just me. All right, next up. Jay Bling writes, here's the thing. I did understand what you were talking about by experience from a movie, but the original question was about analyzing films. So only describing your experience isn't really an analysis. Then you didn't understand what I was saying. Isn't really an analysis and doesn't really answer that question. It absolutely does if you understand what I'm saying. It's easy for us viewers to watch movies. It's far more difficult for filmmakers to make them. That's absolutely true. When it comes to analyzing what a movie was trying to accomplish and how it succeeded or failed, simply describing the experience is surface level. That's incorrect. That is the ultimate bottom line. How the movie was in the end resulting. You know what that's like saying, Jay Bling? You know what that's like saying? It's like saying, in trying to understand how to make a good dish, just how it tasted is just surface level. No, how the movie fucking, or how the dish actually fucking tasted is the bottom line. At the end of the day, it's all that matters, is how did it taste? Was it enjoyable to eat? That's not just surface level. That's the whole fucking kick and caboodle. That's everything. You can do everything else right. If it don't taste good, it was all for nothing, everything you did. You can trip and flop your way through a bunch of stuff, but if at the end of the day, you put that forkful of whatever the food is you're eating into your mouth and it's enjoyable and delicious and you love eating it, guess what? That's all that matters. The experience, everything from story design, character architecture, dynamics, plots and subplots, your act structures, all of these things are just tools to ultimately deliver an experience. Just like cream and eggs and flour and a good cut of beef and whatever it is, the great ingredients, like these are all great and they're important and it's what goes into the dish. Yes, but at the end of the day, what matters is these are just the tools at hand to create a delicious tasting meal. To try to gloss over the experience that a movie delivers is to miss the whole point of the art of filmmaking and the art of storytelling. You're missing the entire point. All these other key things, again, character architecture, the plot layout, pacing, the structure, all that kind of stuff. These are important and these are good, but they are but tools to get to the desired end. They are not in and of themselves the end. Because you can think you have a magnificent story structure, but guess what? If the end result is an unsatisfying experience, it doesn't matter how great you had your story structure. It doesn't matter. But anyway, let's go on and continue reading your question here. It's easier for us viewers to watch movies, far more difficult. Absolutely. You're 1,000% right about that, Jay Bling. Absolutely. And you made an argument that there's no rule that good story and character contribute to the experience. I did not say that. You're completely taking my words out of context. And you made an argument that there's no rule that good story and characters contribute to the experience you're looking for in a movie because it doesn't always happen. Yet you did say it happens most of the time. Yes, that's exactly what I said. I didn't say that there's no rule that says a good story and characters don't contribute to your experience. What I specifically said was those things don't automatically mean you're going to have a good experience. And yes, more times than not, doing those other things right, having the right ingredients, cooking at the right temperature, having your right timing for how long it's in the oven and what things you mix in. You do all those things right, it will help lead you to a delicious dish. much like in movies, you do a good story structure, great, intricate, multiple dimensional characters, all these kind of things. These will definitely help and contribute to delivering a good experience, but it doesn't automatically mean it will. That's the key. It doesn't automatically mean that it will. With all due respect to my ears, that sounds akin to saying vaccines don't work because they're not 100% effective, even though they're effective as the vast majority of the time. Statistics matter when making arguments, my friend. No, it doesn't. Depending on the argument you're trying to have. Because my baseline thing is this. All I care about when I'm in a restaurant and I put that spoonful of food in my mouth, at that moment, as somebody sitting in a restaurant, I don't care about how many chefs were in the line. I don't care about whether or not they used virgin olive oil or regular olive oil. I don't care if they use this cut of beef or that cut of beef. In that moment, as I am sitting in that restaurant and I take that spoon in, the only thing that matters to me in that moment is, does it taste good? Does it deliver the experience? Now, of course, and this is what I said before, you just clearly weren't listening. If you're a filmmaker, which 99% of us are not, but if you're a filmmaker and you want to make sure you deliver a good experience, then yeah, there are certain things you can do that will increase your chances of delivering that experience. Multidimensional characters, your story structure, all that kind of stuff. But you've got to be willing to throw that out the window at times if you realize that following that right now is not delivering that experience, and we need to change directions to do something that does. That's all I'm saying. As a director, your bottom line has to be, what kind of experience is this delivering? Not did I do everything right to deliver an experience? Because that point is moot if at the end of the day it's not a positive experience. And that's the point I'm trying to make. But at any rate, we need to move on from there. All right, next up. Jamie writes, part 1 of 2. Hey, John and Rob, hope all is well. I've been a long-time viewer since the AMC days. I just wanted to say what great work you and the team do every day. Thank you so much. Also, you said Netflix's films don't all seem to be great, and I agree. However, the films and shows in other countries seem to be of better quality overall. The recommendations from last time were The Invisible Guest and The Occupant, The Innocent Girl, and Good Morning, Veronica. 3 are Spanish and 1 is Brazilian. Bring on the filthy. Yeah, now I gotta say, man, I don't really know how good or bad Netflix originals in other markets are. All I know is that Netflix originals 99% of the time completely suck. That's just been my experience. Once in a little while, they'll put out an Old Guard, or they'll put out an Irishman, or they'll put out a Don't Look Up. I mean, I don't know if Don't Look Up is going to be good or not. I think it's going to be good. It looks fantastic. I mean, I think the movie's going to be great, even though I didn't like the trailer, but I think the movie's going to be great. But everybody then ignores the 50 to 100 original things that they put out in between those. But again, I'm not really familiar a lot with what they then release in other markets. So that's something that we should probably keep an eye on about that, Jamie. You're probably right about that. All right, next up. We've got Jordan Wilson who writes, hey, John, not sure if you've noticed yet what a new Dune... Let me try it from the beginning again. Hey, John, not sure if you noticed yet that a new Dune house featurette went online Monday. I did not notice. And I noticed that at the end of the featurette, it says, only in cinemas. Has the studio changed their mind about putting it on HBO Max, or is this a typo? Thanks. Let's put it this way. I have heard nothing about them changing their minds on it. I don't know if the people at Warner Brothers have made that decision. I don't know if they... Look, all I can do is hope that they see what has happened with Shang-Chi. That's all we can hope. That they see what's happened with Shang-Chi and they go, you know what? Damn it, let's make this thing a theatrical exclusive. That is what they should do. But as far as I know, they are still aiming to have it come out on in theaters and on HBO Max on the same day. Something that the director has been begging and pleading and arguing and screaming till he's blue in the face they should not do, but they're doing it anyway. So I haven't heard anything official on that. I would love it if that was the case. I would love that, but I don't think that's the case. So we'll have to wait and see. I hope you're right, though. I mean, I hope that's what it turns out to be. All right, thanks, Jordan. Jay Bling writes, regarding Dwayne Johnson doing movies that aren't four-quadrant fluff, I was more thinking of him going for his own R-rated action franchise like Bad Boys or R-rated comedy franchises like the Jump Street movies. And the Baywatch movie doesn't count because not only did it fundamentally misunderstand the Jump Street movies, Dwayne more or less admitted he wanted the movie to have his four-quadrant appeal despite the R rating. There's proof he said that. I don't doubt that. Look, I wouldn't mind seeing stuff like that, but here's the problem, because I agree with you. I would like to see Dwayne do stuff like that. I really would. The problem is this. When he does his four-quadrant stuff, he makes lots of money. And the studios that are willing to put up big money for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson are looking for that four-quadrant appeal that he brings. So I'm in agreement with you. I would like to see that stuff. Personally, I would like to see that stuff. I really would. But again, I just don't know that, I don't think, I should say, that that's the stuff studios are willing to pay him the extremely big bucks for. Because they know, put The Rock in a good four-quadrant project, that project is going to make more money than it would have if it doesn't have The Rock. You know what I mean? So I see, but and that's the problem. At the end of the day, Jay Bling, are there studios that are willing to give Dwayne Johnson the kind of money for like an R-rated thing as the studios are willing to give him for the four-quadrant stuff? And it's a business, man. As Robert Meyer Burnett would say, it ain't show friends, it's show business. And it's business. He's like, hey, I can get a nice $12 million check to do this R-rated thing, or I can get this $30 million deal to do this four-quadrant thing. Guess what? I want to own an NFL franchise someday, so I'm going to take the $30 million thing. But I'm in agreement with you. By the way, I can't remember if I overlooked it or not. I hope I didn't, but Francis sent in Francis Dionisio. I can't remember if I called it out or not, but Francis Dionisio sent in like a $50 super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you so much for that, dude. I just caught it now. Thank you so much for that, man. I so appreciate your generosity and your support of the channel on that level, man. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you very, very much, Francis. Honestly, can I just say this for a second? It is amazing. I think people underestimate the only way we can do this show at the quality level that we do it, with the gear that we have, with the people that we have, the people that we pay to be a part of the show and to help do the behind the scenes and everything, and all the bills that we have and everything, and the fact that I can do it full time. The only reason we're able to do that is because there are people who watch this show that believe in this show and are willing to support it. And there's this misnomer online that, yeah, people will watch everything, but people don't want to pay for anything. And I disagree. I've believed for a long time, because I do it myself, I've believed for a long time that no, when people enjoy content, people like supporting that content. And I know, like, when, just as an example, I know for me personally, when I'm flopping around YouTube and I see there's some live streams, if I'm watching a live stream, man, I really like this. I like to support it. I like to jump on, and if they have a super chat available or open, I like to fire in a super chat. I think people underestimate that. I think people, particularly people in the fan community, if there is content they enjoy, they also enjoy contributing to it, and they also enjoy supporting it. And that goes against common thought in the online world, but I have found it to be very, very true. That's just me. Anyway, all that again to say, Francis, thank you so much, dude, for supporting the channel on that level. And Luke Manley also sends in a super chat badge as well. Thank you, Luke. I appreciate that, dude. All right, let's keep going here. Cody Hunt Films writes, Just heard about the passing of Michael K. Williams. Yeah, this was, of course, a few days ago. What a terrible loss for the film community. He made every project that he was in much better. His typecast and on HBO always resonated with me. Question your answers and control your own destiny. Again, man, I know everybody will think of Michael K. Williams and instantly think of Omar on The Wire. And why not? One of the greatest television shows in history and one of the great characters in television history. And he was, but I even liked him more as Chalky White. Chalky White in Boardwalk Empire. I loved him in that. Whenever he appeared on the big screen, of course, the last thing we got to see him in, at least for me, was Lovecraft Country. I thought he was great in that, and just a real loss. Just a real loss. All right, next up. Andre, a.k.a. Caveman, writes, "Hey, John. Incredible. Shang-Chi was amazing. Just saw it yesterday. Can't wait to get the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray Steelbook. So ready for more. Bring on Eternals, Spidey, and more. The Ten Rings origins, the Living Tribunal, or one of the Celestials, maybe." You know what? That's been a lot of the big question. What are the origins of the Ten Rings? And I honestly think it's going to be something brand new. I think it's going to be something brand new that's not in the comics, that hasn't been in the MCU yet. Now, I don't know this. I could be totally wrong about that. I'm just guessing and speculating here. But my guess is they're going to, it's going to be something totally brand new. What? I have no idea, but I think it's going to be something brand new. Thanks for writing that in, Andre. Next up, Nathan writes, 1 of 4. Hey, John. I had a question for you about directing in movies. Since I have never been involved with filmmaking, I was hoping to get your opinion on the matter. I wanted to know how to judge directing in movies as an average film fan. For example, when I'm watching a film, how can I tell if a film has good directing, bad directing, Oscar quality directing, or something in between? Obviously, if it was really good, there was good direction involved, and if it was bad, there must have been bad direction. We'll try to remember to get back to Tribal Chief here in a second. However, how should I go about watching any average film to evaluate the work that was done behind the camera? Are there certain specific things to look for during a film? And can you give any examples of films that do any of those specific things? I hope that this makes sense. Thank you, John. All right. Thanks a lot for writing that in, Nathan. And kind of going back to what Jay Bling was talking about. Just focus on the experience of the movie. At the end of the day, with all the hundreds of people involved in making a movie, it all comes back to one chair. And that's the chair the director is sitting in. Whether that director is Denis Villeneuve, or whether that director is Chloe Zhao, or whether that director is Christopher Nolan, or J.J. Abrams, or whatever. It all comes back to the person sitting in that chair. The person in that chair is the conductor. I just went to go see John Williams in concert, right? They're the conductor. They are orchestrating and coordinating. And everything that goes into every single frame runs through the director first. Everything. From the composition of the shots, to the sound levels, to everything. That there's specific people using their talents to do it, but it all has to go through the director, right? For me personally, there are 2 things that I look for. And there's a million other behind the scenes things, but really the 2 things I look for and how well a director has done in a movie are, number 1, I believe the absolute number 1 responsibility of the director, the number 1 job of the director, I believe personally, is to bring out the best performance of the actor possible. The number 1 job of a director is to bring out the best possible performance from their actors. It is the director that informs the actor about, this is our setting, this is what we need from our character, this is what needs to become, what needs to exude, and blah, 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 and work with the talent of that actor to bring out the best possible performance for those scenes. There is a reason Charlize Theron won her Academy Award working with Patty Jenkins. There is a reason that Dave Bautista, who I love, but there's a reason a guy like Dave Bautista, who has never been, up until when Guardians of the Galaxy first came out, had never been known as a great actor. But there's a reason when he's in the hands of James Gunn, who knows how to hide his weaknesses as an actor and accentuate the strengths he brings to the screen to bring a Drax the Destroyer to life, there's a reason that works so well. There's a reason that works so well. So, and I think it's also true that it's not a coincidence that the best performance we've ever gotten out of John Cena is when he was also in the hands of James Gunn. So to me, whenever I see an Academy Award, like whenever I say a best actor, actress, supporting actor, or supporting actress, to me in my head, that should always be a shared award. That should usually, I kind of feel that should be a shared award because it was the actor as the vessel, the director directing that performance. But to me, that's the number one thing. Did the director get the best performance? What kind of performances did the director get out of their actors? Because to me, that's their number one responsibility. A lot of people don't agree, but it is for me. The second thing, and this is a bit general, granted, but is flow of story. Did this director lay out this story in such a way that it flowed from a narrative perspective really easily? Like, did scene A naturally flow into scene B and scene C and D and E and so on and so forth? Was there excess cut out of the movie? Or was there extra excess? Was there totally redundant scenes left in that didn't need to be there? Did the director get distracted from the actual story of the movie too much for too many of these little side things and all that kind of stuff? Because at the end of the day, the director looks at the film as it is and decides what kind of experience, we go back to that word experience, what kind of experience is this delivering? This is a great side story I'm doing, but it's detracting from the experience of the movie. Got to cut it out. It doesn't matter if it's an excellent side story. It doesn't matter if whatever. It is hindering the overall experience of the movie. Got to cut it out. Got to slice it out. So I look for that. So again, there's a million little details. I'm just saying for me personally, the way I look at it, what kind of performances did they get out of their actors? And did the story have good flow? And then, of course, ultimately, did they deliver a good experience? And that's just the things I look for personally. But again, that's just me. That's just me. All right, next up. We got Tribal Chief who writes, what's your early box office prediction for Venom 2 now that it's coming on October 1st? In my opinion, while I really like the first film, reality is most critics and some fans didn't. Right now, I'll say 50 million, but it'll make more with good reviews. I don't know. You're right. A lot of critics didn't like it. Most fans did. That's why the first Venom got this ridiculous word of mouth going. Like, people started going back multiple times, bringing more people with them. People were just having fun at the movie. Like, not on ShangChi level and not on like Spider-Man level, but people had a good time despite the fact that like half the critics didn't like it. Half the critics did, but half the critics didn't. How's it going to do right now? Dude, listen, it is so hard to project what movies are going to make right now, especially with the pandemic still. Especially we're in this Delta variant spike right now. Not to mention, Venom has moved release dates so many times. I think like the average film fan doesn't even know when this movie's coming out. I bet most people don't even realize it's coming out October 1st. Right? So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. Opening weekend... I would say domestic opening weekend for Venom, I'm going to guess 35 million. I'm going to guess 35 million. I just, with all the other factors involved, but again, in this pandemic era, I don't stand by that. I don't stand by that prediction. It's just, you're asking me for a guess. I'm going to give a guess. I'll say 35 million. Hopefully it's more. You know, it'll do better than Suicide Squad, I think. Won't do as well as Shang-Chi. So somewhere in the middle there. Right now, I'll peg 35 million. But again, I don't stand by that. I totally don't stand by that. So even if it comes out 35 million on the nose, I won't take a lot of credit for that because I'm just, it's so hard to tell right now. It's such a weird time right now. All right. Next up, we got time just for a few more, guys. Let's see. Tribal Chief also writes, looking back on it 2 years later, what are your thoughts on the failure of Dark Phoenix? What legacy does it leave behind? Why do you think it flopped hard? Was it because the movie sucked ass? Nobody cared for Fox X-Men anymore. Terrible marketing. Yeah, Dark Phoenix. was, first of all, there's a couple things going into it. Number one, for me, there was already a concern going into Dark Phoenix that a filmmaker I like very much, Simon Kinberg, he had never directed a film before. And he decided to make his film directing debut with a major tentpole X-Men film. I think that is always a mistake. I really think that a first-time filmmaker should do a more modestly budgeted and modestly with expectations of a smaller film and kind of build up to it, right? There's a reason that Lucasfilm didn't just hand Dave Filoni a Star Wars movie to do. They gave him episodes first because he had never directed live action before. He didn't know the first thing about directing live action. So what did they do? They gave him episodes of Mandalorian to direct. And now he's cut his teeth, and now he's got some experience under his belt. And now, later on, once we hear, at some point, we're going to hear that Dave Filoni is going to be directing a live-action Star Wars movie at some point. But it would have been a mistake to just jump right to that with a guy who didn't know what the hell he was doing. Simon Kinberg's done a lot in the film industry, as a producer, as a writer, absolutely, but he's never directed. And to give a first-time director a movie like that, I don't know, I thought that was a mistake. I said that long before the movie ever came out. For those of you who've been watching me for some time, you know I said for a long time before that movie came out, having Simon Kinberg make this his his directorial debut, I thought it was a mistake. I thought it was a mistake. That being said, Dark Phoenix wasn't great. I didn't think it was the train wreck that a lot of people made it out to be. For example, no pun intended, like that whole train sequence I thought was really good. I thought that whole 15-minute train sequence thing, I thought that was great. A lot of almost everything else. It's hard to say, to do a post-mortem on a film like that, especially now years removed, is difficult, but certainly the trailers didn't look great. I don't think people got on board with the new class of X-Men like they were with the original, like Hugh Jackman-led X-Men. I just don't think that ever carried over, First Class being an exception. And then you could make an argument for Days of Future Past, but the reality is you had Hugh Jackman leading that movie. So it was kind of traditional X-Men. So I don't know. It's a good question. I think they probably someday it'll be worth doing like a 15-minute editorial video on doing, 3 years later, the post-mortem of the failure. But I think people are still excited about X-Men. The proof's in the pudding. All you got to do is mention X-Men coming to the MCU and people get really excited, right? So I think people are still excited about X-Men. We'll just, have to see. By the way, Philly G sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Philly G. Appreciate that, dude. All right, next up. Fang Blaze writes, hey, John, how did you feel about the score on Shang-Chi? I thought the score was fantastic. Not as good as Black Panther's score, but I thought the score was fantastic. That whole ding, 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 ding. I like that music would play and I'd start to get pumped up. I loved it. Anyway, I absolutely loved it. Already one of my favorites. And my God, it did amazing at the box office. This is a huge win for movies. Absolutely it is. And again, I love the score. Not as good as the score of Black Panther, but I think Black Panther is the best score out of any MCU movie. But I thought Shang-Chi is probably in a top 3 or 4 MCU as far as the score goes. I thought the score was really good. Zach writes, love Shang-Chi. Me too, dude. But what do you think about how they handled Death Dealer? Was really hyped about him because of how much they promoted him, and his sick design. Was a bit disappointed at that. He's just there. Not even the best lackey is teased. I disagree. And I unfortunately, Zach, I'm not going to be able... sorry, I got to skip over because this isn't a place for us to go into spoilers on the movie. I will say this. I thought Death Dealer was used exactly right. This movie isn't called Shang-Chi and Death Dealer. The movie's called Shang-Chi. That's where the story should be. That's where the focus should be. Not Razor Fist. Not his aunt. Not Death Dealer. That's not who this movie's about. You got to keep your focus. I thought they had absolute razor sharp focus of what Death Dealer's role was in this movie, and he fulfilled his purpose. So I'll just leave it at that. Unfortunately, you're asking about spoilers. We can't go into that stuff right here. All right, Jonathan writes, I find it sad that there are certain people who want to destroy a certain studio like Marvel or Lucasfilm simply because of some perceived agenda that the studio has that don't align with theirs. What are your thoughts about this topic? I've addressed this several times. Look, whenever you hear somebody complaining about an agenda from a studio, they're the ones with the agenda. That it's just that simple. If you hear anybody talking about a studio's agenda, what that really is the person saying that is the one with the agenda, and what the studio's doing doesn't fall in line with their agenda. That's my take on that, and I'll just leave it at that. All right. We Are Venom writes, one of the most polarizing figures in the Spider-Man franchise is Avi Arad. Yep, it's true. He's responsible for getting Marvel out of bankruptcy, founded Marvel Studios, and overstuffed 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2, went too many villains for toy sales. Is he Spider's John Peters? I don't think so. Here's the thing. The problem with fandom today, and I'm including all of us. I do this sometimes. You do this sometimes. All of us in fandom do this, okay? We're all guilty of this. Those of us in fandom, we are quick to ascribe blame on somebody, maybe even deservedly so. The problem is, once we've decided we don't like that person because they did X, Y, and Z, we then fail to attribute successes and wins when that person has a success and a win. And I think we need to try to develop habits of looking at the whole picture. Like, look, everybody knows I'm incredibly critical. I'm a huge fan of Kathy Kennedy prior to taking over Lucasfilm. She's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Steven Spielberg calls her the greatest producer in the history of Hollywood, all that kind of stuff. Huge fan. But to me, she has botched many things, particularly getting the proper directors on board with movies and making sure they got their visions aligned, because they went through a rotating door of directors and blah, blah. And everybody knows I've been very critical of how Kathy, I think she was a great choice to run Lucasfilm at the time, but I've been very, very critical of the job she's done since then. But that doesn't mean you ignore the victories she's had. You can't just focus on those things and then pretend like her films haven't made billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. You can't ignore that it was her idea to put Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni together to work on The Mandalorian. Jon Favreau told that story himself from the stage of D23. First of all, you also can't ignore that out of the hundreds of pitches Kathleen Kennedy had on her desk, hundreds of pitches, that when she saw the Mandalorian pitch, she knew this one's going to work. This one's going to work. And she called Jon Favreau, told him to come in for a meeting, came in, and she said, this is great. I think this is going to tell me again what your vision is. I think this is going to work, but I want you to work with one of our guys. I want you to work with Dave Filoni on this. Like, you'll be in charge. You're the boss, but I want you to work with Dave Filoni on this. That was her idea. And all I'm saying is that doesn't take away from the mistakes that she made. But if we're going to ascribe blame when there's screw-ups, and I've done a lot of ascribing of blame to Kathy Kennedy, you also have to acknowledge the victories and the wins. With Avi Arad, look, has he been a producer behind several chunks? Yeah. But guess what? He was also the producer of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Either the number one best Spider-Man movie ever made, or in a tie, or 1 and 1A with Spider-Man 2, directed by Sam Raimi. You know, so yeah, and you're right, he's a very polarizing name. He's a very polarizing name. But I think if we're going to talk about him, you got to balance out talking about the failures, but you also got to acknowledge the victories. You got to acknowledge the wins. You got to acknowledge what things they did that worked. And it's tough. And again, I'm as guilty as this as anybody. I fully admit it. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm not, but it's something we should try to focus on more, I think. Okay. Let's see here. Next up, Jonathan writes, holy cow, No Time to Die is 2 hours and 43 minutes. Yes, if you don't know, I love long movies, so long as it's good and epic. I love 2.5 hours or more. It's why I loved Endgame and Dark Knight Rises. Bring me more Bond, 2 hours and 43 minutes. Well, I'll tell you right now, Jonathan, the reason you liked them was not because they were long. You liked them because they were good, and they were the right runtime for those movies. If the movies weren't good, you wouldn't love them just because they were 2.5 hours long. I mean, just keep that in mind. But for a franchise like Bond, and this is the final Daniel Craig Bond movie, you know they're going to have a lot of stuff in it. You know they're going to have a lot of stuff in it, especially as this is the final chapter of his James Bond book. I'm not surprised to hear it's going to be on the longer end because there's a lot they've got to build up to. All right. Quan writes, John, Shang-Chi is absolutely epic. Wenwu downright steals the movie. Loved him so much. When I just pre-ordered his hot toy, I knew a lot of people would be ordering that hot toy on Sideshow. This will be my very first hot toy. And dude, that is a good hot toy to get, my friend. It looks beautiful. That Wenwu hot toy looks absolutely stunning. It just looks great. All right, next up. Tom Weinberg writes, going home now from Venice. A shame we couldn't see Spencer or The Last Duel. I'm really interested in The Last Duel. Written by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, who the last time they wrote a movie together, they won the Academy Award for Good Will Hunting. Directed by Ridley Scott. The trailer looks bonkers good. I cannot wait to see this. Anyway, really looking forward to seeing those. Also, had to wait a week to see Shang-Chi, which is too long. Well, I'm glad. Hey, listen, just go out and see it. I think you're going to have a good time with it, Tom. And thanks for letting us know we talked about it on the companion video last night. A number of the films that you saw there at Venice. Very jealous and very appreciative that you sent us your thoughts on those movies, man. All right, Tom also writes, best part of Venice, though, seeing Dakota Johnson and the Gyllenhaals on the red carpet from far away by peeking through the bushes. 10 out of 10 would do it again. Yeah, listen, it doesn't matter how many red carpets I go to. I always do get a kick when we see people we recognize. It's always a good time. And I'm very jealous that you had a chance to go to Venice. I've never been to the Venice Film Festival. Hell, I'm Italian. I've never been to Venice. So I'm a little bit jealous for a number of reasons. All right. Next up, Michael H. Jones, 2 of 2. I don't remember seeing a 1 of 2. So sorry. I think you forgot to hit submit on your first one there, dude. But Michael H. Jones writes, I follow box office closely, and when the studios and industry insiders disagree, Deadline is only one who reports it. In the end, they all get it right, but this fascinates me. Was wondering if you noticed this and why no one else reports it. And unfortunately, Michael, it looks like you didn't actually hit submit on whatever part 1 was. So I don't know what it is we're talking about. Unfortunately, let me see if I can glean what you're talking about. I follow box office closely, and when the studio and industry insiders disagree, Deadline is the only one who reports it. In the end, they all get it right, but this fascinates me. Just wondering if you notice this and why no one reports. I don't. Reports what? I am not clear on what it is we're talking about. I apologize for that, Michael, but since I don't know what it is, what part 1 was, I can't venture a guess. Sorry about that, dude. All right, next up. This will be the last one we do today, guys. And this final one comes to us from Anton Riley, who writes, RIP to the late, great Michael K. Williams. He was amazing on Lovecraft Country, and he guest starred on a couple of episodes of Community. It's in its 3rd season. He will be missed. Yeah, the dude was just, I'm not saying it was as good as, okay? I'm not saying it was as good as, but he had like what's the best way to put this? He had a James Earl Jones kind of presence. Like when Michael K. Williams is on screen, you know Michael K. Williams is in a scene. James Earl Jones had that sort of presence. You even go back and watch something like The Sandlot, right? When James Earl Jones is in a scene, it's like all attention goes to him. Not on purpose. It's just that he has that kind of a presence. And while I'm not saying it was as good as, Michael Williams had that kind of a presence as well. And it's really sad that we are all going to miss out on seeing even more of that incredible talent, of that absolutely incredible talent. All right, guys, listen. There are still more questions to come from Alejandro, Ryan the Loner, and Anonymous, and a few more. Do not worry. We will get to those tomorrow. Now, I'm not going to be able to do a companion video today because Ann and I have to go into Los Angeles for the evening. We have a big event that we're going to. You guys might be familiar with Designing Hollywood. Well, they're having a big event tonight, and they invited Ann and I to come, so we're going to go, and we got a hotel in LA for the evening. We're just going to hang out there for the night. But do not worry. Tomorrow, we will pick right up where we left off with the John Campea Show. So make sure you guys come back. Me, Robert Meyer Burnett will be here. I hope you guys will be here with us too. Guys, thank you all for being here and making this show part of your day. Special thank you to all you guys who sent in those live comments and questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the John Campea Show, thank you guys very, very much for your support. Remember to do the four main things, guys. Stay smart, stay safe, take care of yourself, and take care of the people around you. That'll do it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.